this expansion, it's not going to be a holiday, it's not going to be a trip. The price will be very heavy against Israel and against its Nazi army. They're going to be facing huge attacks. And guess what? There are many, many reasons why it is exceptionally likely that the Palestinian resistance is going to be landing the biggest attacks on the Israeli terror forces once they go in to these areas where they haven't been in before. Why? Because the Palestinian resistance had even more freedom to prepare itself against the genocide troops before they come in. Why? Again, why? Another reason why it'll be very intense, because the Palestinian resistance operated in areas where there was Israeli occupation presence 24/7. They were coming up from under the ground, from inside of the locations where they're in, having ambushes against them, hitting them, and then moving back safely and in peace. And Israel suffered and still suffers huge losses in these areas on a daily basis. Now imagine them entering certain locations with ground troops where the Palestinian resistance hasn't really confronted them on the ground. Imagine how much resources the Palestinian resistance will have. And that wouldn't necessarily mean that you will be hearing about all sorts of attacks from day 1 or 2. No, the resistance will be luring them in. They will be letting them go into certain places so that they can get really comfortable before taking them down. There is no option to defeat the Palestinian resistance. Netanyahu is selling illusions to a depraved, psychopathic, and brainwashed public. He's not fooling anyone with an ounce of brain, even in Israel. And there was another response coming from one of the senior figures in Hamas, Hussam Hamdan, in relation to this proposal coming from Benjamin Netanyahu, supposedly, again, not to say that there are no Arab countries who support Israel. No, there are. There are Arab regimes who wish Israel success, despite what they say, by the way. Israel succeeded in making this genocide possible with Arab countries surrounding them not lifting a finger. This is one of the most shameful moments in history of Egypt, of Jordan, of Syria, of any other country that hasn't taken any action to stop this genocide. The Egyptian authorities just struck a $35 billion gas deal with Israel in the middle of a genocide, when they're unable to get in or do not want to force in aid to a starving population. And now they're starting to talk like there's some sort of a conspiracy and the Muslim Brotherhood is starting to try and pacify the public pressure against their shameful position of allowing a population to go through genocide and starve to death next to their door, on their borders, when they have international law on their side, when they have the popular support on their side, when they have the global population support on their side. Just take action, and they won't. But they have the capacity to go and strike deals with Israel, and Jordan has the capacity to send them food and feed them when they're starving the Palestinian population. So there are Arab states who wish Israel success. Let's be completely frank here. However, will it reach a level that they will actually send forces to the Gaza Strip? Unlikely, but it's still a possibility. Why? We have operatives now, and they are Palestinian, and they operate on behalf of the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, run by Mahmoud Abbas. Abu Shabab, who's tied with ISIS in Gaza, the mob leader, is linked with the Palestinian Authority and the President Mahmoud Abbas, and is being protected by Israel. Therefore, we have treason within Palestine, let alone not having treason outside of Palestine. So that's very clear. But the Palestinian resistance, they will send a message to anyone who even entertains the idea of having any sort of other force going inside of the Gaza Strip. Although the Jordanian authorities already said now, we will not be going in and fixing Netanyahu's problems. We will only do what the Palestinian people are happy with. Again, you need more clarity when you have statements, but they did say that. Anyway, Hamas said the following. They said that any force entering the Gaza Strip will be treated as an occupying force. They said that before, but they're saying it again. The talks about any sort of non-hostile Arab entity. Look at the level of shame of the Arab states. A non-hostile Arab entity. And they exist. That Netanyahu is now suggesting. And mind you, by the way, Netanyahu might be lying, might be completely lying in relation to this nonsense about an Arab force going inside of the Gaza Strip. Who would want to go to Gaza to face the Palestinian resistance? Who would want to go to Gaza to face someone carrying his soul on his shoulder and facing death directly? Who would want to go and face a person who has been starved and lost everything in life, from family and house and everything, still fighting these child killers in Gaza and holding a bomb and planting it in an APC? Who would want to go and fight these people? From anywhere across the world. No one would want to go and fight them. What don't you think that any sort of delusional force that was thinking or might think or even entertain the idea of going to fight the Palestinian resistance didn't see these images that are coming from Gaza? All of them saw them. All of them saw them, and they see them on a day-to-day basis. But Netanyahu, again, could be trying to mix things up to deviate the attention from him and from his huge failure. And that is the crucial point, by the way. The crucial point is Israel is incapable, its army is incapable, and is humiliated and defeated and suffered so many losses that they are unable to conduct one successful ground operation against the Palestinian resistance in areas that they have been in for 2 years, let alone going to a new place on the ground with a ground invasion to try and occupy it. That is the reality. So let's keep everything into perspective. In perspective, you have an army with a head that doesn't want this fight, but you're still sending him. He's telling you there's going to be a lot of attrition against our forces. He's telling you we're going to lose more. He's telling you the prisoners of war are going to be in danger, and you're still sending him. Would any employer do that with an employee? Imagine you're just a company and you want to recruit someone for a certain job, and he's telling you, I can't do it, and this and that, and you, oh no, you're going to do it. You're going to listen because I'm the boss. Let alone your army. And that's what the idiot's doing. And he's going ahead with it. But mind you, you need to connect all of the dots. The fact that this might not be a full-blown intense campaign, like even Gideon's chariots, although it could, because they'll have that level of idiocy and stupidity, so that Netanyahu can lead this whole process up until January or February 2026, and then have a certain deal, declare the all-out victory, and then call for an election, and potentially have some sort of a better chance to succeed. But they can go on a bigger operation. They've done these stupidities before, and they put their soldiers into death traps that haven't been seen before. We did not see anything as such in the past several months. So not only the army is not in harmony with this insane war criminal leading the country, The population, in the past 24 hours, Israelis are being arrested. They're protesting in the streets. The police is using more brutal methods against the people in the streets of Tel Aviv or in other streets in Israel. And the streets are raging, trying to take down and stop this insanity that's coming from Benjamin Netanyahu. Dispersing, using stun grenades, and Einav Tsengauker, one of the mothers of the prisoners of war, saying that he lied to me. But also, Israelis now on a flotilla. The headquarters of the families of the kidnapped launched a flotilla from Ashkelon towards Gaza. Imagine we're hearing about flotillas from, Western countries to go and save Gaza. These people, they're not interested in saving Gaza. They're interested in saving their family members. And they're sending ships now to the Gaza Strip. At the point of the closest point to the Gaza coast, the families of the kidnapped will shout out to their loved ones in the hope that the message will reach them and give them hope. Look at that. Ships going from Israel to Gaza because these people totally lost hope in the political delegation. And the protests in the streets are intensifying further and further. Netanyahu is going against what the IDF chief of staff is saying, what all of the security leaders and intelligence leaders saying, totally against the Israeli public in a huge psychopathic manner, to go on this campaign for 6 months. And listen, even if they tell you tomorrow, we might take a step back or we might not take a step back, if that is what Benjamin Netanyahu decided, that's suitable for him, and that's where he wants to go, for his own beliefs or narcissistic reasons or psychopathic reasons, whatever it is, he's going to go ahead with it. Because so far, he has crossed so many red lines internally in Israel. Like forget about the level of, for a second, all of the genocide and devastation and destruction, although he crossed all red lines with that as well. But we know Israel. It was established on ethnic cleansing. But if we look at what he's done internally to Israel, in its security, the economy, the social crisis, the divisions, people losing faith in every single establishment in Israel, you never had criticism to that level against the Israeli army. The Israeli army was considered to be something holy. It's a taboo to criticize the army. They bring up children by brainwashing them and having military people in schools around them and all of that stuff. The army was all of a sudden a half of the population, half of those who receive an order to serve refuse, over half. Tens of thousands of casualties, killed and wounded and treated. But if that's suitable for him, he will take Israel to that point. And if he does, and if Israel does go on an intense campaign inside of the Gaza Strip, this time they will be receiving losses. You will be seeing videos that you have never seen before, because the Palestinian resistance inside Gaza City and inside all of the other areas that Israel still hasn't invaded with ground troops yet is exceptionally prepared, is with people who are full of faith and who are waiting for the moment to put their hands on a child murderer. They're waiting for that moment. They've been waiting for 2 years for this battle. And Benjamin Netanyahu is insane enough to take this action despite the fact that he failed with every other location that he entered inside of the Gaza Strip. So this means we're looking at something long. Israel is saying that they're not trusting anything to do with the negotiations, although them and the American side were the ones who went out of the negotiations. There are claims coming from the Israeli authorities that the mediators are doing nothing but hiding and covering up for Hamas and buying them time and protecting them and their position and selling lies to Israel. So Netanyahu made his decision. We're looking at an extension of the war. There isn't going to be a step back unless something very miraculous all of a sudden happens. So all of a sudden we have a 180, and that's again possible because there have been 180s before. This still, even though Netanyahu approved this in the cabinet, could be a way that Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to apply pressure on the Palestinian resistance. But all of the signs show that this is going to get longer, and it's potentially going to get uglier. And it's going to also get much uglier for the Israeli terror forces once they go in those locations. And once they do, we will start seeing things that we have never seen before since the beginning of this genocide.